Assalamualaikum and good morning to Madam. We are from Group 3 and our members is Adina, Eliza, Christina, Amanda, Atika, and Emilia. So now, let's move on to our presentation.
The case that we're going to discuss today is the case of Jonathan anak lelaki Atom against the public prosecutor. So for introduction, we're going to talk about summary of the case, followed by background of the case and also court decision. And lastly, we're going to explain further about the case analysis.
Justice anywhere is a threat for justice everywhere. This saying is by Martin Luther King Jr.
Okay, the case is about Jonathan anak lelaki Rhythm, a 37-year-old man who resides in Pokok Asam, Taipei. He was charged and sentenced out by the Taipei Magistrate Court for damaging properties of 2 cars of 2 individuals. He was not satisfied with the sentences meted out and went on to appeal against the punishment at High Court Taipei.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Normila binti Mahdi from class K17. Today I will be presenting about the background cases of Jonathan anak lelaki Aritam against the public prosecutor. So on 22 August 2018 at around 2:10 p.m., 2 cars who owns by Fang Oi Chan and Kam So Kwang has been found damaged in Pokok Asam, Taipei. The complainant, Fang, who owns a Nissan Sentra, has his left fender of his car damaged. Meanwhile, Cam, who is also believed to be Jonathan's neighbor, has his Nissan Almera damaged in several parts such as the roof, the window, the door, side mirror, windscreen, and also the right side of the car. So basically, based on the complainant, Jonathan has used a long iron grate scoop, which is possibly longer than 180 cm, to cause the wreckage of the 2 car. And based on the case fact, the causes of this outrage of the wreckage is due to both of the complainant. It's because of both of the complainant had used harsh words towards Jonathan that may or may not have triggered him. And yeah, Jonathan, as a person who can't control his temper and has like an aggressive manners before, has causes him to conduct those 2 acts. So yeah, that's all for the background cases. Thank you.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. So today I will explain about the facts of the case of Jonathan against public prosecutor. So the accused, who is Jonathan, was charged for damaging 2 cars that belonged to Fang Oi Chan and Kam Sung Kwang in Pokok Asam, Taipei on August 2018 at 2:10 p.m. So the accused was charged under section 4 to 7 of the Penal Code for the unlawful act that was done by him. So, the cause of the dispute was believed due to harsh term that used by complainants, which is Fang Oi Chan and Kam Sung Kwang.
Okay, now for court decision, befittingly of the 2 acts, the first one is Jonathan was sentenced to a fine of 3,000 ringgit and 6 months of imprisonment if fine not paid. And the second one is a fine of 4,500 ringgit and 10 months of imprisonment in place if the amount is defaulted. Jonathan, through his lawyer provided by YBGK, appeal against the sentence and wanted a lighter sentence in the manner of minimum fine.
With the default sentence order, the accused has been incarcerated for a period of almost 3 months imprisonment as to the date of decision of this appeal. As such, the default sentence of imprisonment, which is disproportionate, is set aside and substitute with 2 months of imprisonment for each charge. A fortiori for non-payment of the fine, which is the principle of sentence imposed. Thus, for defaulting payment of fines, the accused shall be imprisoned for a period of 4 months imprisonment in total. With that, I find that the accused would have served sufficient time for non-payment of the fine imposed by the magistrate.
Continuing to legal issues, there are 4 legal issues in this case. The first one is the sentence passed in accordance with the law? The second one is the sentence meted out manifestly excessive? And the third one is, do the relevant principles have to sync with the case of the accused? And last but not least, do the sentences sync with settled judicial principles? That's all for legal issues. For ratio decidendi, the process which determines the ratio decidendi is a correctly thought analysis of what the court actually decided, essentially based on the legal points about which the parties in the case actually fought. The reason for deciding, for example, the legal decision or principle of a case. The binding precedent must be appealed in all other cases in lower courts that have the same facts or are looking at the same points of law.
And now I will continue with the ratio decidendi. By imposing a default term of 16 months imprisonment, the accused has been treated unjustly and harshly, bearing in mind that the magistrate is mindful of imposing a sentence of fine only, which I find to be appropriate and in accordance with the law and the circumstance of the case. The imposition of a harsher default sentence in effect tantamount as sentencing the accused to a period of imprisonment and not a fine, as intended. It has definitely a crushing effect on the accused. With the default sentence ordered, the accused has been incarcerated for a period of almost 3 months imprisonment as to the date of decision of this appeal. As such, the default sentence of imprisonment, which is disproportionate, is set aside and substituted with 2 months imprisonment for each charge, or fortiori for non-payment of the fine, which is the principal sentence imposed. Thus, for defaulting payment of fines, the accused shall be imprisoned for a period of 4 months imprisonment in total. With that, I find that the accused would have served sufficient time for non-payment of the fines imposed by the magistrate. The reduction of the default sentence is fair and just in view of the facts and circumstances of the case involving the accused. More importantly, in accordance with the principle of proportionality when sentencing an accused person, the principle that sentencing is the ultimate discretion of the court has to be given its right consideration and cannot be treated merely binary, as has happened in this case. Premised on the above, I find that the default sentence ordered has to be reduced in the interest of justice appeal against sentence allowed.
The conclusion is the magistrate had pondered on this straightforward case where the accused admitted to his acts and given his past record. It was not difficult to conclude the case. Although the accused was provoked, there should not have been excuse for him to behave violently and damage the property of other people. This salient point was rightly acknowledged by the trial magistrate, claiming that jail sentence would not deter Jonathan from committing such crimes in the future. Perhaps it's quite far-fetched, as one can similarly argue that the fines doled out were no guarantee that Jonathan will keep his temper and aggression at bay.
So this is our team, consists of Wanwar Adina, Eliza, Christina Rukaya, Amanda Farha, Atika, and lastly, Milia.
So, before we end our presentation, we would like to thank you guys for your keen interest and your unwavering attention throughout this presentation. Thank you. Assalamualaikum and have a good day, guys.